Hi, I'm Greta.
And I'm Claudia. Welcome to Knitters and Critters, where we talk about everything Critical Role and, of course, our own knitting projects.
Well, let's dive into this week's episode of Critical Role. So this week's episode is called On the Trail of a Killer, and it opens up with Imogen waking up terrified from her dream. She's had the dream many times over the years, but this is the first time it's ever changed, and there's never been anyone else in the dream before. She tells all this to Laudna, and they kind of agree that this is a little bit, worrying. So they head over to the Spire by Fire Tavern to try to find Bertrand, figuring, it doesn't hurt to check. Of course, when they get there, they can't sweet talk their way to a room number, so they're just kind of wandering the halls, knocking on. Yeah, they're those people.
Yeah,
The
right?
absolute worst. Thankfully, Orem has pretty high perception, so he wakes up and leads them to Bertrand's room, and of course, he's not there. So the five of them, obviously minus Ashton and Fresh Cut Grass, they go out on the hunt for Bertrand. But it's pretty clear. I think they're all feeling the dread.
Yeah.
Not even not metagaming very much. I think the characters themselves were obviously uneasy. Obviously they find Bertrand's body. He's been stabbed multiple times, and with the same kind of blade that the dwarf had used previously to fight them. So the dots are all connecting that he definitely got killed by that odd dwarf figure. They weakened at Bertrand's body back to Lord Esteros' house. And Esteros is obviously upset that this happened. He doesn't really think it has anything to do with him. But he very, rightly says, maybe don't go anywhere by yourself for the time being until this is all cleared up. And he does invite them to stay overnight at his house, which I thought was nice.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could get them all to be staying in one location,
Right.
don't you
I
think?
think we're headed that way.
Yeah. I just wish that Lord Esteros would just say, yeah, you guys could be
Take
my weird
over.
roommates, whatever.
Why not?
I don't know if that's going to happen, but you can dream. And, during all of this, I think Imogen and Dorian were kind of feeling pretty deeply affected by Bertrand's loss, which is a little bit surprising. Obviously, Bertrand was a bit of a rascal and they've only known him for a couple days. But I mean, I would be pretty unnerved if I had a dream about someone and they died. And then Dorian, of course, I think feels pretty guilty since he was the last person to see Bertrand
And he was trying to
alive.
get him to come back and,
Yeah.
let's get you to bed. And,
And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So, but feelings aside, the next day kind of dawns the way it always does, and they meet up with Ashton and Letters and tell them what's going on. And of course, Letters goes on full therapist mode and is like, why aren't you all reacting properly? Which, fair. However, not Imogen, but Laudna and Ashton, these are not well-adjusted people. Of course, they're not really gonna react the way you think. Over breakfast, Mr. makes an appearance, which I just want to mention because I don't remember him being featured in the campaign so far. Has he? Did I miss that?
No, she's talked about him, but I think this is the
Yeah.
first time.
I thought so too. I don't know if it's just something that they just kind of forgot to role play out in earlier episodes. Because it seems like something you would remark upon when you're meeting Fern for the first time. But whatever. I do love Mr.
Yeah.
I think it could just be that Abria Iyengar, the DM for Exandria Unlimited, really leaned into the RP part of Mr., whereas Matt really hasn't as much.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where I'm, feeling the loss. But anyway, they all decide that obviously they're going to go and investigate the dwarf further, and their only real lead is to go back to the Weary Way Tavern and search out that hole in the wall. So they break back into the room. It's still a disaster. The remnants of the fight from the night before is still everywhere. It hasn't been cleaned up yet. And Orem, being the tiny one, manages to go spelunking down the hole. He carries Fern with him, who is transformed into a snake. And he also accepts the coin of delving from Sam.
Who tells him?
Who tells him, it's fine,
Take
drop
it, use
this
it."
artifact, use it. It's such a trap, of course, because the
Yeah.
moment Liam drops the coin, all hell breaks loose with Sam being like so wonderfully passive aggressive. It was funny, like, because everyone, I think, knew that Sam was going to give Liam shit for using the coin. Yeah. And I think Liam even knew it because he's like, you could see the gears.
He probably did. Yeah. I think he knows Sam pretty well.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, they're basically sister husbands, brother husbands, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're really close. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the investigation behind the hole doesn't really lead to much of anything other than it's like a 1,200 foot deep hole, which is not what is expected, obviously. Ashton goes to speak with the tavern keeper at the Weary Way, Kamala the Maven, and they sweet talk her a little bit. Some coin changes hands, and Ashton at least gets a name for the dwarf, it turns out to be Duggar. Not of reality TV fame, but regardless.
We don't need that kind of storyline.
Yeah. No. The investigation kind of stalls out here. They're not really sure what to do next, it seems like. I think Ashton mentions quite rightly that, Duggar can't be operating the entire broomstone trade by himself. There's got to be more people involved. Right. And Loudna comes up with the suggestion that, hey, maybe if Duggar rented a place here, he also rented a place in some other taverns nearby, which I thought was a really, it seemed like a shot in the dark at the time, but they go to the Spire by Fire, which happens to be the closest tavern, which, makes me laugh because we have more towny bars in our area than we do Starbucks. Clearly, Drazar is very different from where we live.
Yes.
But they go to the Spire by Fire. And it's Dorian's turn to take the lead, thankfully, because we know our boy can use his words.
Oh, yes.
And he just kind of shouts the name Duggar all around to see what sticks. And he does spot someone, a tiefling man in the corner, kind of make a face when he hears the name Duggar. So Dorian, sachets over and strikes up a conversation with this poor unsuspecting dude.
Unleashes a charm offensive.
Yes, literally a charm person spell that works so well. This poor guy is eating out of Dorian's hands, and Robbie just played Robbie in that role-playing flirtation.
Yeah,
will spawn 100,000 AUs of them.
A million fan fictions.
A million fan fictions. Just prepare for it. But it is like a wealth of information. It works out really well. The guy tells Dorian that Duggar was a carpenter until about 6 months ago. They think that he joined up with the Corsairs, which is a Robin Hood style thieves guild here in Drazar. Mm-hmm. And he's gotten really weird and withdrawn and sickly.
Yeah, physically
ill. And the guy thinks maybe he got addicted to something, which on the surface makes sense. I mean, do you spice was a major theme of campaign 1.
Yeah.
I don't know about you though. Something about the broomstone and Duggar's sickness immediately made me think of radiation sickness.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could come to nothing. Maybe he is just addicted to something random, or it's a symptom of whatever's going on with him in the Shade Creepers. Who knows? But I don't know. I just thought I'd call that out there in case it turns out to be true. So after they leave the Spire by Fire, they go back to Lord Eshteros to try to find out more about the Corsairs and try to figure out if they can get an in there. Eshteros, unfortunately, does not have any connections with the Corsairs, but he really wants to, because it seems like he finds that steal from the rich, give to the poor mentality really attractive, which kind of, jibes with his do-gooder persona, I think. Of course, like I said, he doesn't have any connections there, but he's like, if you do get it good, put in a good word for me, on the down low.
Networking.
Eshteros, why do you trust these people to do anything subtly? Yeah. This is not, don't even go down this path, but, they don't listen to me. I'm just here. They do also discuss what should be done with Bertrand's body at this point. Eshteros is able to confirm that Bertrand was a part of Vox Machina, which the adventurers were kind of I don't think he really was, because, he was all talk. Right. But they decide, knowing this information, why don't we just send his body onto Whitestone, and Vox Machina can handle it from here. And of course, this is the point where Laudna pipes in with, "Oh yes, Whitestone is the place for the dead."
Right.
Like, God, I want to know her backstory so badly. But what was funny, I think you showed me the video of Laura, like, miming out, like, receiving Bertrand's body.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
great.
so funny.
It's really great.
Well, speaking of backstory, Orem takes a minute with Eshteros to kind of like spill the beans on what he's actually doing in Drusar in the first place. He apparently is looking for someone named Oshad Breshio, or the Anger, because this person worked for a Mahan family in Drusar that was recently attacked. The attack was apparently in the same style as an attack that happened in Zephrah, and Orem's been tasked with investigating it. So obviously finding and speaking with the lone survivor of the attack makes sense.
Right.
Eshteros does think that he can organize like a meeting, but it's going to be a little while because Breshio is still recovering from his wounds.
Which is pretty, telling because, most wounds in this world can be easily dealt with. So you got to wonder, is it, more than wounds? Is it...
Yeah, is there like something mentally that happened to him or what?
Yeah.
I guess time will tell. So they're kind of at another dead end here with the investigation. It's one of the very like weird things about D&D is like unlike a book or a movie, like the breadcrumbs don't always lead to one obvious place to the next. They're still kind of gunning with this Corsairs angle, so they all go back to the Crook House. Ashton thinks that maybe some of their associates might have some kind of in with the Corsairs, which makes sense as Ashton's kind of a shady creature to begin with. They meet with Milo, one of Ashton's friends, and Milo suggests, hey, go talk to Advik or Ephid. And, it's one of the 8 names in this campaign that sound similar, so if you get confused, you're not alone. Anyway, though, Ashton has no desire whatsoever to be with any of these people because it's Ashton. He's not sure how they feel about them. Yeah, at this point.
Yeah,
Totally
and
fair.
Imogen keeps
like, ooh, what's up with that? Who is this?
Yeah.
Don't tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah.
That's just how Taliesin plays his characters, though. He's always someone who's like really close to the chest with his information.
Yes.
Which, at this point, I think we all know always pays off in the end. So I want to learn more about Ashton, but we'll get there. Anyway, they do decide, let's just go to the Elder's Post, which is a subterranean marketplace in Drusar, and see if we can find Advik. They meet the Shadowbaker instead, who is another person that Ashton isn't sure how he left things off with.
Yes.
And they don't make the best impression on the Shadowbaker, what with Orem asking for pie of all things, like the monster that he is.
How can you mess up pastries? That's all I'm going to say. Like, how can you, everything is good.
Yeah. Well, and it made me laugh, like, you're such an angry, intense person and you don't make pie? Like, pie seems like the angriest of all desserts.
You have to beat a
you
lot
have
of things.
to beat it. I mean, come on. It seems like it would be the natural progression of the Shadowbaker's attitude.
Yep.
Whatever. I digress. Well, the incident with Orem plus Imogen maybe sensing his thoughts a little bit and maybe getting caught, and Fern's trying to steal from him, and all the backstory with Ashton. The Shadowbaker, takes a bribe and gives them this information that if they want to meet with the Corsairs, they should go to the Root Trader outpost, talk to Heron, and tell them that they've come for the laughter. The group does this. They manage to follow directions for once. And find out that they were given the naughty phrase. They go up into this tiny little room above the Root Trader outpost and are immediately surrounded by about 30 people, all hooded. And they're all laughing for sure, but it's only because they're about to attack. And that's where the episode wraps. What were some of the highlights for you?
Oh my goodness. This was, such a good information episode, I felt.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good stuff, good moments from Dorian, who I really love, and I'll be very sad to see, that character, leave the group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen, or at least not anytime soon. I know they're being very close to the chest about if Robbie is going to be there for a long time or just like as a short run. I think he's a great addition to the group, so
I
hope
think
he
so
sticks
too.
around.
Yeah, or comes back at some point.
Yeah.
I love the whole flirting scene. I like his little
Yeah.
throwaway. Oh yeah, we hate the rich. That's awful. Which remember that. I like the entire interplay about Laura saying, oh, the person in charge of Zevra is not very powerful, and the person in charge of Whitestone is
like
way more
amazing.
powerful. And Liam, defending Keyleth's honor.
Still,
going, oh yeah,
2 campaigns later.
oh yeah, going easy. I love that, Keyleth and Vax. Just so
love story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love that. That was really funny. And then, Taliesin going, what is this?
What is
Inception.
this? My nose is going to start bleeding. What is this?
Fern's eulogy to Bertrand.
I forgot about that jazz.
It's chaos. And everybody else, and of course, and stealing everything in his pocket because it's Fern.
And I'm sorry, but Werther's Originals are one of my favorite hard candies.
They're so good. They're so good. They are not old people things.
No.
They are not. I am very offended. Oh my goodness. The whole pie versus cake is pie.
Yeah.
Pie has pastry.
Pie has pastry.
And if you do it right, I actually prefer the pastry to the filling.
That's
and
true.
a lot of
That's
pie
true.
because
a
the
good
filling
pie.
could be a little too sweet, but a good pastry, it
just balances it all out.
Great
really
Alexandrian
well.
bake-off.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of good info, a lot of good little moments. So yeah.
It was a great episode.
Yeah, I think so.
And another kind of cliffhanger. Of course, Matt will leave us on a cliffhanger. That's just how it is.
Always does.
But yeah. So should we talk about some knitting?
Let's talk about some knitting. So, I am starting to wind down, which is very rare for me to not have, 17 works in progress. But something I did finish are these delicious, cozy house socks by Tiff Nealon. And what I love about it, I started knitting with mohair this past year. For the longest time, it bothered my eyes. And
I wouldn't have considered that, but that makes sense.
I mean, there's a lot of fibers that fly out when you're knitting. And so I figured that if I wear my reading glasses when I'm knitting with mohair, it really helps. It's a little tip from me to you. So parts of this are knit with mohair. And it just makes for such a soft and silky, you can't see it very well, but I posted some pictures on my Ravelry, so you can take a look at them there. These wonderful sock blockers are from Knitting Left, and I absolutely love them. And the other thing that I finished recently, this was a test knit that I did for Kalura Hudson, While They Play Designs, and this is like a cowl.
Ooh.
And it's beautiful. It's made with bulky,
so
bulky yarn, so it goes by very quickly.
Yeah.
And when I wear a shawl, I'm usually fighting ends and, they start falling off of me. So I tend to prefer cowls because they don't move. So
Is that a knit or a crochet?
this one is a knit.
Oh, nice.
So
Oh, that's so pretty.
it was very fast. It's very cozy, very nice. The yarn is from Onyx Fiber Arts. And Adria has beautiful colorways. This one's called Sophia. And I wanted to knit with this, which is not my usual, darker colors. But, like it's not super pastel-y and Barbie pink. So I feel like I can wear it. And it's very, very soft. Very, very...
Yeah. It's nice and
very
soft
cozy.
and cozy.
It is.
Wonderful.
How is the blanket coming along?
The blanket's coming along. I haven't really had time to work on it this week. I was actually at Emerald City Comic Con this past weekend. I know we're a couple weeks out at this point by the time this episode comes out, but I had a great time at Emerald City. It's in Seattle, which city I've never been to before. But I was there moderating a panel for their writer's block area. So I was with Genevieve Gornichek, who wrote The Witch's Heart, J.S. Duas, who wrote The Last Watch, Sarah Bond, who wrote Gravity's Air. There was Jay Viner, who wrote Jane of Battery Park. And who am I forgetting? Erebus Dawning by A.J. Super. And it was just all of us ladies talking about, I think the title of our panel was Witches, Warriors, and Women Who Rule Worlds. And we were talking about
us.
Exactly how to create powerful women in your science fiction and fantasy writing. It was an absolute blast. Hopefully by now, I think Emerald City taped everything, so you might even be able to find it
that's wonderful.
on their YouTube if you're interested in hearing a bunch of us authors talk about how we create characters. But while I was there, I got to meet Amy Carrero. Oh, I was so happy to meet her.
Oh my
Of course,
goodness.
it was like for 2 seconds, but I'm counting it. I tweeted the picture of us. She retweeted it.
Oh,
we're friends now,
yeah.
obviously,
Yeah,
right?
besties
That's how it
now
works.
At this point.
She was absolutely delightful. I've never had a bad experience with anyone at any of these, but I hear that sometimes the celebrity guests can be a little bit snooty, but Amy was not. She was wonderful. She's everything you want Opal to be. But while I was there, I also picked up some amazing artwork. Two of my favorites have to be this Vex and Vax that I got. This was made by Brandy York.
We'll put links.
We'll put links to everything.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Just beautiful. We're going to be recreating our set here soon. So when we remake it, just keep an eye out for some of this artwork.
Absolutely.
And then two of our favorite crazies from Campaign 2, Molly and Jester.
Oh, Jester!
Yes, this is by Minnie Syrup. It looks like is the artist's name. Again, we'll link. I just loved how many colors were in this. It just was very...
Oh, these are beautiful.
Very fun. And because I belong to many fandoms, I also picked up other stuff. For my girls, I picked up these two pictures. I just really want my kids to have this Loki-Thor relationship.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, and then I got a bunch of these Star Wars prints too. My husband really wants to do our basement as Star Wars stuff, so...
Nice.
One unexpected highlight while I was in Emerald City was there was a whole Wormwood, I want to call it an island because it was so much more than a booth.
Yes.
And they had some of their Critical Role merch there. So I know we don't get to see Brian Foster's face anymore on Critical Role, but I still picked up a Critical Role Dice Vault. Oh, it's so pretty. It's their Bolivian Rosewood Dice Vault. Oh, hang on. Gotta smell it just for you, Brian. I know you're watching.
Of course, they all are.
Yes.
Amy,
they are our tens of followers.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was way too much shopping, but it was an absolute blast, and I hope I get to do more cons like that in the future. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's all I've got. Do you have anything else for today?
No, I think that's it. I am winding down my list of works in progress, and hoping to start the new year with a blank slate.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it was great talking to you today. Come back next week, guys, because we've got a hell of an episode to talk about then.
Oh, yes.
Again, as always, like this video, leave comments. We love talking to you all. Like and subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Santa. Bye.
Bye-bye.